Hi friends, we're filming from Africa, and there's an important subject that I want to talk to you about that I get questioned about all the time. And doing these YouTube videos, I've had dozens and dozens of the same type of question. People want to know if X ammo will work in Y firearm. And I've tried to tell people for a long time that guns are extremely individual. Even guns made in the same plant by the same people on the same day, even if their consecutive serial numbers can have enough differences that what one of them does or will do cannot be said about the next one that's just one serial number off. And the reason being is that even assembly line made guns, like let's say Beretta 92Fs, it's a real common gun, military pistol, used all around the world. Just a real, it was one of the very first early designs that was considered reliable as a semi-auto pistol. But when you're making, let's say you're making 1,000 barrels for the 92F this week in your barrel making facility. Well, reamers wear out. And let's say you're on barrel 25 and your reamer consistently, every time you cut a chamber, the reamer gets microscopically smaller. So barrel number 1 is going to have a bigger chamber than barrel number 25. And then all of a sudden, at 26, you get a new reamer and start over, which is then going to be a bigger chamber like number 1 was. So you don't know any of that when the gun gets assembled on an assembly line. You don't know what order your barrel was made in. And this is just one example. I mean, slides are all milled and machined. Frames are milled and machined. Internal parts are milled and machined. And machinery wears. Dimensions change. And so, I mean, for example, I've got a Howa. I don't know what model it is. It's the real common Howa. It's chambered in 270 Winchester. Howas have a reputation for shooting good out of the box. I've got one that's a 270. It doesn't shoot worth crap with anything. My luck. But, if you took 100 Howas, and shot them all, you might get one that was a real poor shooter. I happened to get that one. So when people email me, they go, how will my brand X rifle shoot with this brand Y ammo? I don't know. Nobody knows. And if anybody tells you they do know without actually doing testing, actually shooting the gun and knowing what they're doing when they shoot it. If anybody tells you they have the answers to those things without actual testing, don't believe anything else they have to say. Guns are very, very individual. And when you look at how barrels are rifled, the same thing goes for rifling as for cutting chambers. Rifling material wears out. Whether it's, there's cut riflings, button riflings, it doesn't really matter. The way you rifle a barrel, that machinery wears out. And so when you start putting all these parts together, you may have parts from one factory run of parts that's way different than the parts from another factory run of parts. You're putting them all together in one pistol. So don't ever expect that my Beretta 92F is just like yours. It'll shoot Federal match 115 grain ammo perfectly in one ragged hole, and it'll be sighted in when you take the pistol out of the box from the factory. It'll be sighted in. I've heard stuff like this. When I was 16 years old and first learning these things and first hand loading for high-powered rifles, I started hand loading at 13, and by the time I was 15, 16, 17, I was loading a number of high-powered rifles that I owned, and I was one of these sick, fanatic kids that every dime, I had two full-time jobs. I dropped out of high school. All I wanted to do was buy guns and shoot. And, you know, like I say, I dropped out of high school. Well, I did, but I took a GED test and aced that thing. I was getting honor. I was on honor roll at high school, and I don't even know if I ever woke up in high school. All I could do was daydream about guns. So anyway, in doing all these things, I learned and made mistakes and learned from them. I bought 2 Weatherby Vanguard 25-06s when I was 17. I bought one first, really liked it, thought I'm going to get another one. These are great because I could hit distant crows with them, and you know, and they were great for shooting deer, and I was just shooting all kinds of varmints, coyotes, whatever, you know, if it crawls, it falls, if it flies, it dies. I mean, that was how I was living. Well, I took ammo that I had worked up for my first 25-06, that I had worked up a good load, and I decided to shoot that in my second 25-06, which was brand new. So, like a smart boy, I ran a dry patch down the barrel 2 or 3 times first to get any dust or debris or cosmoline or anything out of a new rifle barrel. And then I went to work on the accuracy. Well, every round I fired blew a primer. I just couldn't figure that out, so I took it to a warranty center in Portland, Oregon, and explained to the guy, I don't know what's wrong. That ammo shoots perfect in this gun. It's the very same gun. It's a Weatherby Vanguard 25-06. And in this gun, it blows primers. What is wrong with this gun? And he goes, there's nothing wrong with your gun, you dork. He goes, you cannot develop top-end ammo that's running at max pressures for one gun and stick it in another gun and expect the same results. And thus began my education on this particular subject at the tender age of 16. And since then, I've proven that over and over and over hundreds of times, because I own hundreds of guns and I shoot for a living, develop ammo for a living. So, if you ask me, does such and such ammo work good in my Marlin Model 1895 4570, if I'm going to give you a totally honest answer, you're going to think I'm a smartass. But the totally honest answer is, I don't know. And how can I know? Well, I own 10 or maybe 12 Marlin 1895 4570s. But what my guns do is, I guarantee you, not what your gun will do, or at least there's a high likelihood. So I can't give you any guaranteed answers. If I was a fly-by-night ammo maker and just wanted to sell some ammo and tell you something you wanted to hear, I'd say, oh yeah, your rifle, which I've never seen or handled or shot, will do this. Well, I don't know that. Nobody does. So be on guard for people that tell you what a rifle will do with a known load, and they've never even seen the rifle. They could be just telling you that out of inexperience, which we call ignorance, or they could be trying to sell you something. Just be on guard. There is no way to know what any given ammo is doing in any given rifle or handgun without testing. I'm a test freak. Test. And there is no other way. Having said that, I won't say it again. God bless. Have a good day. I hope this has been useful, and we'll catch you on the next video.